game against Penn State just got announced 11 a.m. Central Time on Big Ten Network as well. Get your credential request in if you haven't already. Start with an opening statement from the head coach, then go into questions. Just like usual, raise your hand, get my attention if you have a question, and we'll get you all on. Coach.
Had an opportunity to come in this morning after an off day yesterday. Put the Duke game to rest. Plenty to learn from. Everyone included. Starting with me. Did not go down to Durham and play our best football. I think that was very apparent and something that we learned used as a growth opportunity this morning. Certainly, a great deal of credit to that program. They've done an exceptional job. They're playing really well on both offense and defense. Quarterback is a high-end player. There's reason for us as a program to identify the things that we need to get better at, while staying very optimistic that when we do get clicking on all cylinders, we have an opportunity to compete with anyone. Shifting into Big Ten West football, which this group is really excited about. Returning to Ryan Field against a very, very, very physical opponent that understands what it takes to win in the Big Ten West. Coach Fleck and his staff have done a tremendous job in his time there of really building the program and building an identity on both sides of the football that complements one another. There's no doubt in our mind that there is quite a challenge in front of us, but it will certainly embody what Big Ten football is all about, what Big Ten West football is all about. And our guys are excited. Our staff is excited to be transitioning into Minnesota prep. The guys will be back this afternoon for some install meetings and a brief practice, and then transition into our typical Tuesday. So on to Minnesota.
Matt Shelton from Wildcat Report. Coach, you've been on the road twice now with similar results. Did you see improvements from the team from Rutgers, and do you think being away from home is having an impact in these games?
Yeah, I think I'd be hard pressed to say that. I've seen improvement since Rutgers day in and day out in terms of the performance and the way that we performed in that isolated 60 minutes down in Durham. I don't know if I could say that. It wasn't our best. When we pride ourselves on fundamentals and technique and just our demeanor of play, that did not show up on Saturday. So opportunity for us to own that, challenge the group, challenge myself to be better moving forward. There's no doubt that in our two opportunities to play on the road so far this year, we have not started fast. We have not played well collectively as a group, and excited to be back at Ryan Field. But regardless of where we're playing, whether we're at home or on the road, we need to perform at a higher level than we did on Saturday.
Coach, Saturday you gave up over 250 yards on the ground. Last year, Minnesota ran for 300 yards against this team. What do you have to do this weekend to get back on track in the run game and actually force the Golden Gophers into third and long situations and put the ball in the air?
That's a great question. It sounds very cliche, but it all starts off with our fundamentals and technique. We need to create knockback at the line of scrimmage. We need to define our gaps up front. We need to violently get off of blocks. We need to understand the fit structure that we're playing with and play with great leverage. And we need to tackle well. It's easy to say all those things. Not always easy to do, especially against a very well-coached, quality opponent like Minnesota. As a staff, starting with myself, need to do a good job of putting a plan in place that allows our guys to play really fast, to change the picture up on their offensive line, their running backs, and their quarterback. And, collectively, we need to play complementary football. We need to trust all four quarters and understand whether or not we start fast or don't start fast. We didn't start fast against UTEP, but we played a full four quarters. We need to trust that, over the course of four quarters, we're going to find ways to get a lead. And at the end of the day, Minnesota, when they're ahead, is at their best. They are going to milk the clock. They're going to control the football. They're going to stay committed to the run game. We need to start early. We need to find ways to get them behind the chains and force them, to your point of becoming one-dimensional and drop back and throwing the football, which they have the ability to do at a high level as well. But we have to find a way to get these guys out of their comfort zone, because when they're running the ball and leaning into their play action, they're a dangerous outfit.
David, you had, I think, 3 or 4 kickoff returns Saturday, which it's the most in a game I can remember in a long time. Does that in any way show it maybe a change in philosophy? Are you just looking for a spark as opposed to taking the ball in the 25?
Yeah, I think part of it's looking for a spark. I think part of it is just the belief in that unit, starting with the guys that we have back as returners between A.J. Henning and Coco. Both guys have the ability to do some really good things with the ball in their hands. And, we're close. We're close. We're some of those returns, a lot of good things are going on. We're getting the ball out to the 30, and we're a block away from really springing one and flipping the field and giving our offense some advantageous field position. But I think to answer your question, I think it really comes back to a belief in the returners, a belief in that entire unit, and looking for a spark.
Coach, when you talked about the tackle element from this past Saturday, when you guys go into practice this week, do you anticipate changing anything fundamentally in terms of cleaning up those tackles, and how much do you kind of attribute to your guys and their tackling versus the play of a really good quarterback and a really good team?
Yeah, you're always evaluating how you're practicing. You're always willing to be honest with yourself and look to potentially change. I feel like some of those fundamentals in tackling have showed up in a positive light, earlier on in this season. Just because a few missed tackles showed up on film against a really quality opponent, you don't want to hit the panic button. It just really comes back to leaning into. We're going to carve out plenty of time for individual. Our position coaches do an incredible job of emphasizing tackling. I think it's a great opportunity for us collectively as a staff and as a program to, really hold ourselves accountable in terms of not only the way that we're practicing in Indy, but what type of position are we getting when we finish on the ball carrier in those practice settings, even against scouts? Are we tagging off, or are we getting in a great position where we can get a good thud? Those are things that I know our leadership and the guys within our locker room that do a great job of holding everyone accountable are going to certainly make sure that they're emphasizing this week.
Coach, you talked about your impressiveness with the O-line and tight end groups last week. How would you evaluate it after Duke's game?
I think it was not where we need to be. There were moments of production and process that it was exactly what we're looking for. Moving the line of scrimmage, moving the point of attack, staying glued to blocks through the whistle. Cam again in the run game showed the ability to be really efficient and explosive at times. Tough to take down. But there were moments against a really quality defense and a really quality defensive line where the standard that we expect out of that group wasn't met, and they know that. They're well coached behind Coach Anderson and Coach Jenick. It's a group we need to continue to lean on. There's continue to be flashes on Saturday of guys straining with great effort, especially out on the perimeter. Collectively as a group, we just need to consistently put that together play after play for a full 60 minutes. So reason to be encouraged, but we're still chasing the standard.
Coach, Hunter had some early first quarter struggles just in terms of punting. How would you assess both kind of the punting and punt return units play through the first 4 games of the season?
Yeah, the punt return unit, we need to get going. We're feet away from springing a big one late. Theron Johnson is giving maximum effort, doing a great job straining to find a way to get that thing started. Just needs to take a better angle and use better technique to make sure that he doesn't get called for a defenseless player. But that's the strain that we're looking for. And you go back and watch the film. We are, a few feet away, split second earlier of him showing up and doing a good job of just shielding off that tackler to get an AJ out and rolling. I would attribute the punting with Hunter just to a lapse in consistency. He's been such a consistent presence, and the product that he's produced has been really consistent in terms of the location, his operation time. couple punts that he'd like to have back, but full faith in what he's able to do, not only as a punter in terms of his location, but also just being a weapon of really discouraging any form of pressure with the operation time that he gets the ball out with.
That's just a follow-up. Yep. Both Hunter and Luke split kind of reps last season. I know Luke took the majority of reps. Is there kind of conversations about what kind of difference they can bring in the punting game, and is that something like you're looking forward to taking advantage of in the rest of the season?
That's a great question. Where we're at right now, through very transparent conversations with both Hunter and Luke, plan on having Hunter be our starting punter throughout the remainder of the season.
Coach, this Saturday's going to be the Wildcat welcome game. You'll have recruits and commits in the building, Big Ten opponent. Kind of feels like your first true home game of the season. What are you expecting from the stadium atmosphere, and what is that going to feel like for you?
Yeah, I honestly, I don't know what to expect, but really excited for the opportunity for our guys to have students back, for it to be Wildcat welcome, to have all the incoming freshmen at Ryan Field, along with a great deal more of the rest of the student body. It's a Big Ten opponent, a Big Ten West opponent. If you can't get charged up for this opportunity, you got something wrong with you. So excited for the opportunity that's in front of our student athletes.
Coach, obviously being a defensive play caller and the head coach, you said on Saturday that you put a lot of this game on yourself. How you balance trying to stay locked in, making sure that you're putting the defense in the best position while keeping with all the chaos that comes with being a head coach throughout the game?
It really comes back to delegating responsibility and trusting those that you delegate that responsibility to. With our defensive staff, it's communication right after the drive on potential adjustments, getting in front of some pictures and really understanding how our opponent's trying to attack us, make any immediate adjustments that need to be made, and then revisit with those guys as the series goes on, either in any follow-up conversations that may have been had while I was over with the offense. But, we've delegated a lot of that responsibility out to the staff, have unwavering trust in their ability to manage that. It's a great staff, very knowledgeable. I've been really impressed with the way that they've navigated game day. And the same goes for, the head coaching responsibility. There's people that I'm leaning on throughout the game, talking different scenarios, whether it be going for it on fourth down, some potential 2-point conversion conversations. We're sitting, down 31-7. You certainly don't want to be in that scenario, but we're talking about how do we win this game? Well, at the end of the day, it's still a 3-score game. It's conversations with Coach Bajakian of, hey, when you go down and score here, we're going for 2. We only have so many opportunities, so many possessions left. That's something that I'm becoming more and more comfortable with, as each game goes by. But it's definitely a balance. And there's definitely a lot of people, including Coach Holtz, that I'm involving in those conversations just to make sure that I'm doing my best to put our guys in situations to be successful.
And Coach, when you guys seem to use AJ Henning on jet sweeps, it seems like it's often out of 13 personnel, getting those tight ends out on the perimeter. Can you just explain kind of why you guys like using that formation and avoiding any type of towels to a defense when you run those tight ends out on the field?
Yeah, it's something that I certainly trust that Coach Bajakian and the staff is doing a really good job of self-evaluating. That really after week 3, it's a great opportunity for all sides of the football to go through some self-scout and identify where we potentially have some tendencies, but what I can tell you is, football is a game of matchups, and, matchups with our tight ends in space, blocking potential DBs on the perimeter with A.J. Henning with the ball in his hands is a matchup, that we like. And, credit to that tight end group. They've done a great job of blocking in space. A.J.'s done a great job of understanding his angles and creating some really efficient plays within the run game. The exciting thing is the compliments that can come off those looks. Excited for our tight ends to continue to shine. Excited for AJ and others within the skill group within our offense to continue to shine. And that's the fun part as you get into the season, is really having an opportunity to study yourself, understand how your opponent views you, and then start to use that view of you to counteract that and find some wrinkles that hopefully can create some opportunities for explosive plays.
Coach, another sack for Anto Saka this weekend. The first time Riley Leonard had been brought down for a sack all year. What would you evaluate from what you've seen from that young man this season?
The young man can rush the passer. There's no doubt about that. We talk about roles within this program and owning your role, not being satisfied with it. None of us want Anto to be satisfied being a third and long specialist or a pass rush specialist. We want Anto to continue to strive to be an every down guy that, becomes unblockable in this league. He's not there yet, but he continues to improve under the mentorship of Coach Smith and some of the veteran leadership in that room. And something that he and I have talked about, even just a few days after I arrived is, as I watched this film and started to, wrap my head around the skill set that young man possesses, is like, hey, bud, in terms of your role, let's start off with just being, someone that can have a huge impact on the quarterback week in and week out. And he's shown the ability to do that. Excited for him to continue to push that element of his game while also being a more consistent first, second down guy for us as well.
You mentioned this Big Ten West game. What in your mind defines Big Ten West football, and do you sense a different vibe around your team this week knowing what's ahead of them?
Yeah, to answer your second question, Dave, there's an edge to our team right now, and I think that is more a result of just to understand that we didn't perform to the level that we expect out of ourselves. On Saturday, and there is a level, and you'll get a sense of that in the building this afternoon as they return, a sense of excitement of embarking on Big Ten West play. To me, growing up in the area and observing it for a long time, it's football rooted in physicality and fundamentals. It's football that's rooted into complementary football and playing within all three phases. And, it's going to be a knockout, drag out for 4 quarters. And that's something that this team fully has to prepare itself for if we expect to come out with the result that we're looking for. But Minnesota in recent years has done a tremendous job of embodying that.
Cam Johnson led the team in receiving yards last game. What has his influence been on the wide receivers room as a 6-year player?
I think there's just a level of confidence with Cam that is contagious. Don't hear him speak much, in terms of outwardly over the top. It's just, talking with his quarterback, talking with the wide receivers, encouraging guys, and then letting his play and Cam's a pro, just in terms of the way that he approaches every single practice. He's a consistent performer in practice. He's battled just like anyone through fall camp, through some dings along the way, but continued to practice, continued to improve, and the production's showing up, which is really exciting to see. But I would say poise and just a level of professionalism. Even as a student athlete, he just approaches his day in and day out routine in a very mature manner.
Coach, obviously you got to go out to Wildcat, welcome the pep rally, and speak to the first years. What was that experience like? What was your message to that new group of students as they come to campus? And also your first time kind of as head coach of this program in front of a big Northwestern community. What was that like for you to kind of be in that role?
Yeah. It would have gone off much better if I could figure out how to operate the mic, to start. So that's step one. No, it was in some ways, very humbling to have an opportunity to, take some time with a group that is absolutely critical to the student-athlete experience. I think the thing that makes Northwestern really special to me as I observe it is it's a world-class education as part of Big Ten athletics. And whether that be as a student athlete that we're recruiting to come here to get their education from Northwestern and play in the Big Ten, or it's a student that's coming here to, study engineering but still wants to have the opportunity to experience Big Ten athletics, I think that's what makes this place so special. And the experience for both our students and our student athletes, that freshman class, they will play a critical role in home field advantage opportunities for us in football for the next 4 years and basketball for the next 4 years, coming out to lacrosse games, field hockey, whatever it may be. That experience is something that when it's done the right way can be really, really special. So it was a neat opportunity for me to share some time with them and hopefully, with some of the other coaches, hopefully get across the message of how critical and important and valued their support is for our athletic programs. And, I hope, with another opportunity to do something like that, I can put it into to better words than I did in my first opportunity. But it was great, and the energy in Welsh Ryan was awesome. I mean, I think we have a young freshman group that's excited to be a part of the Big Ten experience, and we're looking forward to having them in Ryan Field on Saturday.
Last two, Lawrence and Bradley.
Coach, can you talk about Ben Bryant's game on Saturday? How would you evaluate it? And now going into Big Ten play, where things kind of just get more intense, just expectations from him.
Yeah, expectations out of Ben are for him to perform on Saturdays the way that he practices. What we see in practice is a really dynamic quarterback that is an absolute weapon with his arm talent and his accuracy that commands the offense. And you're certainly seeing, plenty of that on game day, and especially in some of those third down conversions. But the level of consistency that we see in practice is what needs to show up on game day moving forward. And Ben understands that. And it's not just Ben. I mean, the entire team needs to help Ben in that. It's a lot easier to play quarterback when you're playing with a lead, and there's balance in the run game and the pass game, and you're up by 10 points. It's all of us play a huge factor in that. But when it comes to Ben's play, I've been really encouraged by some of the things that I'm seeing. It's the level of consistency that we're looking for moving forward.
And Coach, on the defensive side of the ball, it seemed like you guys tried to rotate in more guys this week. Mac Uline, Robert Fitzgerald even. Was that kind of the plan going in, or was it based on the game flow, and should we expect similar things moving forward?
I think anytime you're dealing with a tempo operation like Dookie, that's just going to be something that everyone can become accustomed to, not only with our defense line, but all levels of our defense, of finding ways to play and lean into our depth. But the names that you mentioned are young men within our program that have earned the opportunity to get on the field and have a positive impact. We see their impact, week in and week out at practice, and excited for those guys to continue to find opportunities to shine.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.